Hello, and welcome to the Christian Faith Publishing Author Roundtable. I'm your host, Chris Baker, and for the next half hour, we'll be speaking with several very talented authors about their newly released books, what their inspiration was for creating their unique stories, and why it would be a great book for you to read and share with your friends and family. And of course, they always say laughter is the best medicine, and I think this next book is a very good medicine. The book is called Look Back and Laugh by author John Schmidtke. John, thanks for being on the show today.
Great to be here, Chris.
Now, tell everybody a little bit about this book.
Well, I wanted to write something that was healthy, happy, and helpful. And so it's a humor book to help people laugh about the crazy things that happen in life. I hope people will read it and have a good laugh and maybe begin to laugh at all the mistakes and misfortunes and stuff that they experience. I mean, if bad things happen, it's not because you have bad luck. It's because you're normal.
Now, what made you decide to write this book?
Well, it's been a lifelong dream. And I always talk a lot, and I thought, well, maybe now it's the time to write a little bit. But we've had a lot of crazy things happen to us, funny things, misfortunes, accidents, and whatever. And if you look back and laugh at it, your blood pressure goes down. We've always done that. I thought I'd put it all down in a book.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's one of my problems. I let things get to me, and sometimes when you sit back and you look at some of the absurdity of some of the situations you're in, and you find that you can laugh about it, it makes a life a lot more enjoyable.
Well, imagine a professional comedian telling your story. In just a couple of minutes, everybody would be laughing. And it's because the story is funny and because it's universal. Everybody has had things like that happen to them. So if you look back and laugh, it takes off the negative emotion. Now,
I hate to put you on the spot, but do you have a particular story you could share with us that kind of made you laugh?
My actual favorite story, my little boy was all excited. He said, "Oh, Dad, Easter is my favorite holiday." And I said, "Really?" I'm kind of proud of myself. I must have taught him well. And I said, "What do you like about Easter?" And he says, "Because that's when Jesus dived off the cross."
Now, when people pick up this book and read it, what is the one thing you hope they get most out of it?
If you can laugh at it, you can live with it. And that's what I want to encourage people to do, just to see what happened to us and then just remember what happened to them and live with it and laugh about it. If you think your life has been a joke, you're probably right.
And I got to imagine it was probably a very cathartic experience for you to go back and retell all these tales and probably think of things maybe you hadn't thought of in a while.
Oh, sure. Yeah, and it is universal. This stuff happens to everybody. I think this book would be great for book clubs. I mean, it's a fun read, but then I think club members would be encouraged to share their own experiences. I really think looking back and laughing is a really key to being happy. If life is driving you to the funny farm, you might as well enjoy the trip.
Now, is this your first publication?
Yeah, it is. I've always talked a lot, but this is the first time I wrote a little bit.
Now, how was the publishing process for you?
Well, it was so easy. I mean, I was able to hook up with a great publisher in Christian Faith Publishing. They were able to just guide me right through. I had a terrific assistant named Laura, and it's much, much, much easier than you think. And most people are good writers, but they aren't necessarily good editors. They don't know anything about publishing. So it's nice if you can hook up with a good pro.
I can't wait to read this book because I'm always up for a good laugh. And of course, to be able to laugh at yourself is always a key thing as well. And I think this book will encourage everybody to do that and to not take things so serious. The book is called Look Back and Laugh by John Schmidtke. I got to tell you, I've never laughed so much during an interview. So thank you for that. And thank you for being on the show.
My pleasure, Chris. God has a sense of humor. Just look at me.
And from the time we're small children, we're taught to worship the Lord. But what does it truly mean to worship? I think that's the heart of this next book. It's called Worship is More Than You Think by author Jennifer Lynn Abbott. Jennifer, thanks for being on the show today.
Thanks for having me.
Now, tell everybody about this book.
This book was a God thing. It actually came about realistically because when my son's job is to be the dish cleaner, and so he complains a lot. So I always tell him, do whatever you do for the glory of the Lord. So years later, God actually put it on my heart to write a book about that because that's my heart. I am a singer, I am a writer, that is what I love to do. And I realized that anything that you do do for the glory of God is actually worship. So other people need to know that.
What really inspired you to turn this, this passion for worship into a book?
Well, I've always wanted to be a writer. I thought I would be a novelist, but I write poems that this kind of just flowed out. I honestly think that I was just the vessel and God wrote it. I can't wait to see what he does with it.
Now, is this your first publication, I take it then?
It is, yes.
Now, is this something you'd like to do more of in the future, I guess, whether it be novelizations or something like this book?
Yes, I actually like to tell my friends that I hope to be the next Karen Kingsbury.
When somebody is going to buy a book and they see this, what do you hope they get most when they pick up this book? What do you hope they get from it most?
I hope that they memorize the rhymes, that they see that the Bible verses actually really do coincide with the rhymes. I hope that they really take it to heart and it be something that a parent could actually read to their child and actually learn something while they're actually teaching their child. They're actually learning something themselves. Yeah,
that's what I was wondering. If it was a book, which I'm sure that kids are going to be able to get a lot from, but adults as well. Was that kind of your intent to make sure that everybody can pull something from it?
Exactly.
If you were going to say there was one key to having a true heart for worship, what do you think that would be?
True heart for worship would be that honestly every part of your being is actually giving to God. So whether you're vacuuming, whether you're cleaning a house, whether you're actually doing your job, writing papers or whatever, it's actually everything that you're doing is saying, am I glorifying God through this?
Well, I think this is going to be a great book for both parents and kids alike to be able to learn what worship is, because like you said, like the title says, worship is more than you think. And I think everyone's going to be able to pick up this book and really draw something from it. As I said, the book is called Worship is More Than You Think by author Jennifer Lynn Abbott. You can pick it up at Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, iTunes, and Kobo. Jennifer, thank you for being on the show today.
Thanks for having me.
And up next on the Christian Faith Publishing Author Roundtable, we have an interesting book that I'm excited to talk about. It's called Number One Overall in the Third Person by Gregory Forney. Gregory, thanks for being on the show today.
Sure. Thanks a lot, Chris.
Now, tell everybody a little bit about this book.
Sure. Thanks. I'm excited. The Lord has really put this on my heart. It's about three things. First, it chronicles the NBA from 1967 to 1985. So if anyone out there who followed the NBA and you have a hunger for history. And the second story is the NBA aspirant who falls short of his goal. He's attacked by Satan, so womanizing and drugs play a big part. But through all his trials and error, the Lord is always there. And that's common in there. And the third, and I think the best for last, each chapter, Chris, you read a verse in the Bible. And I say this, when you think about the great things, great landscapes in this world, whether it's Mount Everest or Grand Canyon, one point that didn't exist. But God had to speak it into existence. So anytime you read the Word of God, you're speaking with the Lord. But each chapter, when you read a verse in the Bible, you're speaking with the Lord constantly throughout the book. So you're being educated on the illustrious history of the NBA, facts and tidbits. It's the NBA aspirant who falls short of his goal, but the Lord never leaves him. And you could substitute basketball for being a doctor, a lawyer, a musician. And last but not least, Chris, you're constantly in touch with the Lord.
And what made you want to write this? What inspired you?
What inspired me, I want to say the Lord. The Spirit is on all of us. The Spirit, when He moves, we move. But more importantly, as I begin to the end of the book, I wanted to set a foundation for my parents, called the Rosetta Levy Foundation, which is my parents, my mother's first last name. And they were such servants of the Lord. I mean, they were saved and filled with the Holy Ghost. And 1949 for my mom and 1950 for my dad. So I want to reach out both domestic and internationally. We want a presence in Israel, Ethiopia, and we want to touch every food bank in the United States. When
somebody reads this book, they're at the bookstore or they're online, wherever they buy their books. What do you think is the one thing that you hope the reader gets most from it, and who do you think this book is going to speak to most?
The number one goal is to bring souls to Christ. Now, I use hashtag million souls for Yeshua. I use Yeshua for the Hebrew name. It doesn't make a difference, but Hebrew name, Jesus. The bottom line, Chris, is to bring souls to Christ. When you talk with the Lord, other than loving someone, which we commanded to do, bring someone to the Lord, that's pretty high there as well. So when you read the Lord, your spirit is with his spirit. And he can move you in any which way he wants. Now look at each book, Chris, like an apple. The seeds of the apple itself can yield an apple tree, which yields dozens and dozens of apples. One person will read that book, and they're going to be touched by me. They're going to go out and tell somebody else. They're going to tell somebody else. I want the reader to be closer to the Lord. And Chris answers, you can get as close to God as you want to be. And this is in the right step. And this is for anyone, Chris, who, primarily for younger athletes. The guys have a sport, basketball slant. If you're a younger athlete, NBA fan, you love the Lord, you serve the Lord, you want to reach out to others. It crosses all barriers. And I want the reader to come away feeling closer to the Lord, and blessings will be pouring down for you, Chris.
Well, I think it's an amazing thing to be able to take something you're passionate about, like in your case, basketball, in the NBA, and combine that with winning souls for Christ. And I think that's what people are going to really be blessed by checking out this book. It's called Number One Overall in the Third Person by Gregory Forney. I want to thank you, Gregory, for taking the time to speak with us today. And everyone can pick up this book at Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, iTunes, and Kobo, just to name a few. Thanks for being on the show.
Sure. God bless. Thanks a lot, everybody. God bless.
And up next on the Christian Faith Publishing Author Roundtable, we have a book. It's called Amish Morning Coffee, Bed and Breakfast Fables by author Chool, which is actually the Amish name for Joe. Chool, thanks for being on the show today.
Well, thanks for having me, Chris. Nice talking with you.
Now, of course, I'm here in northwestern Pennsylvania, so very familiar with the Amish. So I always love to hear interesting stories. Tell everybody a little about your experience and the book itself.
We operate at Frogtown Acres, which is a Christian bed and breakfast located right in the heart of Old Order Amish country. I'm surrounded by 8 Amish farms. And the Amish neighbors come in and have coffee and sometimes breakfast with our guests, and then sometimes they come over in the night and socialize and play horseshoes, whatever. We've been in business 20 years, and the book is a series of short stories that recaptures the discussions and the interactions between all our guests among themselves and also with the Amish neighbors. Now, of the chapters, they're all true. First of all, they're all true. Some are sad. Some are serious. Some deals with religion. Some are thought-provoking. Some are controversial. And some are educational, because what they see on TV about Amish mafia and all that stuff, that's not true. They're predicting the culture differently than what they should be. So that's the essence of Amish morning coffee.
I got to imagine, being in the line of work that you do, that you really do meet a lot of interesting characters. How was it to be able to go back and recount all these tales and to be able to put them down on the page?
Good point. I'm a storyteller. We've been in business 20 years, and you just wouldn't believe some of the stories that people have said here at the table and also in the evenings. And for 20 years, I just threw bits of paper with the title into a folder. And then one of the guests said, well, most of them say, Joe, why don't you just write a book? And, we're busy and all that stuff. But we went on vacation. And my wife said, you got to do something. We're on vacation. You're not going to drive me nuts. Why don't you write your book? So I sat down and wrote my book. So that's how it came to be. And I had done a first book, and that kind of took off. And I got offered a reality show on that. And I turned that down. And I write this book. I have another book in process, which Christian Faith Publishing will print for me. I'm after a sitcom. I don't know if you remember Bob Newhart.
Oh, yeah.
And he was an innkeeper, and he had his neighbors Larry, Darryl, and Daryl.
Yep.
Do you remember that show?
Oh, yeah.
We need to do that. We need to bring back decent humor and middle-class values and just pure entertainment to the television screens.
That's the one thing I think television today is lacking. It is a lot of those middle-class, just wholesome values. What was it about that made you decide that, this is really something I'm going to push towards?
There's a lot of rewarding aspects in writing these books. First of all, I enjoy the guests reading them. And I see them down in our patio reading them and laughing out loud. But the other thing is that the monies from the book and the sitcom, it's going to happen, will go to support a church in Center City, Albany. They're dear friends of ours, a minister and his wife. Mm-hmm. I'm a big proponent of missions in America, and that's one reason why I started the whole process.
Now, is this something that you'd like? I mean, I'm sure you probably didn't even scratch the surface of all the tales that you've collected in the past 20 years. Is this something you want to write more about in the future?
Oh, yeah, both books. The first book was called Amish Scrambled Eggs with Humor, and the second book, as you know, is called Amish Morning Coffee. The third book is entitled They Won't Be Back. It's the same outline, true short stories, and it sells, and the people enjoy it, and so I'll probably keep that format. It should come out in November. I'm just looking for a trick ending. I haven't figured that one out yet.
And when somebody picks up this book, what do you hope they get most from reading it?
I hope they laugh. I hope they cry. I hope they cheer. And it promotes the middle-class values. And I hope they learn a lot about the Amish.
This sounds like a very interesting book. It sounds like a lot of interesting characters and stories. The book is called Amish Morning Coffee, Bed and Breakfast Fables by author Chool. You can pick it up at Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble's, iTunes, Kobo, their online platforms, as well as brick-and-mortar stores. And we look forward to hearing more stories from your business, and as well as look forward to that sitcom. So, Chool, thanks for being on the show today.
Hey, thanks for calling, Chris. I appreciate your time.
And up next on the Christian Faith Publishing Author Roundtable, we have an interesting book that I'm excited to talk about. The book is called Flower Fairies of the World by Jean Nelson Woomer. Jean, thanks for being on the show today.
Good to be here.
Now tell everybody some about this book.
Oh, I wrote this book many years ago for children to realize that each child is different. There's all different races and there's a reason God made them grow. And I just wanted to introduce them that even though they're different, when they come together, it makes a beautiful bouquet. So I used the flowers in the origins of different children when I wrote it.
Now, what really inspired you to write this? Because I know children when they're born, they're not born as seeing people as different from they are. It's a taught thing. Was it something that you strived for to really put something out there to teach children that no matter what you hear on TV or whatever, we're all just people?
Yes, with the world changing so much, and from the time I wrote it till now, I've just recently decided that I had to publish it, because as I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, and we had Italian, Black, White, Oriental, Jewish, actually neighborhoods, all different neighborhoods where we would have to go through to go places, and it was a different world. We didn't have what we have in this world today, and I thought that they should know that if we love each other and know why God made them, that this would be a better world.
Did you draw a lot from your own personal experiences with being around several different races?
Yes, I did, because I also went to summer camp with all different races and origins, and we all got along. It was what I grew up with.
Now, you said you wrote this book a while back and are just now publishing. Is this your first publication?
Yes, it is.
Now, how was the publishing process for you?
Well, it was a very good experience, because I did sketches of what I saw the fairies look like, and then all of a sudden one day they came to life. I opened the email and there they were, and that was exactly what I had in my mind when I was younger and now. And
I got to imagine it had to be pretty fulfilling to have this book that you had written some time ago, and to finally see the words on the page, and to have the book in your hand.
I guess every author feels that way. I certainly did. I felt like I was supposed to do it, and I felt glad that I had the opportunity to do it.
Now, when somebody picks up this book, whether it's a child or a parent reading to a child, what do you hope is the most important message that they get when they read this book?
Oh, I've gotten many people telling me what they get, and most of all is the fact that the different flowers and the different people from different origins and how I put them together. I've gotten so many letters and back on that, and the appreciation of being able to read it to their children. By the way, I have a very good friend who's 90 years old, and as I was putting it together, she was taking every sketch and every paper and putting it in her drawer for a collection. I mean, so it doesn't only have to go to children.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think this is a book that, kids are going to be able to get a lot from this, but adults, I think, are going to really be able to, especially in today's society where we are so, there are so many different, races and ethnicities around us now, that people of all ages are going to be able to really draw something from this.
I've gotten remarks from all ages, and I've actually had someone who didn't believe read the book out loud and say, "Oh, this is wonderful." I think that it was touching her, and that was important to me.
Well, I think this book is going to be an interesting book and a very poignant book for today's society, for people to read and understand that we are all humans and we're all in this together. And I think everybody's going to be truly blessed to read this book. The book is called Flower Fairies of the World by author Jean Nelson Woomer. You can pick it up at Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, iTunes, and Kobo. Just to name a few of the online platforms, as well as the brick-and-mortar stores. Jean, thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you very much.
We've got our first repeat guest here on the Christian Faith Publishing Author Roundtable. In our previous episode, I talked with David Johnson about his book about Jim Kirsting, and very interesting. But in talking about this book, David mentioned he had another book which he described as a sci-fi romance. The book is called The Coast is Not Clear, and I just had to find out more about this book. David, thanks for being on the show again.
Thank you for asking. It's a pleasure.
Now, give everybody an idea about this book, because I thought it was real interesting. Pretty much a love story set with a sci-fi twist. I need to know more about this book.
Sure. I thought I would present a science fiction story that is about a complex issue facing the Earth and do it through the eyes of a young couple. It's a story about two young Americans named Merle and Susan, and they share a major secret that they have to keep and protect at all costs while they're just starting their post-high school relationship. The premise of the book is that Earth is not the only planet in the universe with intelligent life. Even though planets are different, some share certain physical and social characteristics, and time is not a linear relationship with some civilizations outside of Earth. Time can be controlled. But the basic premise of the book, Chris, is that faith is an amazing and intangible force. And I wanted to use the story of a young couple, a very loving and delightful couple, Merle and Susan, to go through this scientific experience of the arrival of an extraterrestrial.
Now, this couple, Merle and Susan, a very loving couple, like you said, high school sweethearts, a strong faith in God. Did you pattern these two after anyone in particular?
I didn't. What I wanted to do was provide a book that maybe could be read in schools, maybe in high school. Mm-hmm. High schools that literature teachers would use in order to identify themes and bring a story out that develops a relationship dealing with a very difficult situation. The ability to keep a secret is